Hi, welcome to Safety Nest Safer Choices. I'm Alexandra Dessler, Safety Nest founder and CEO. I started Safety Nest because I believe that every woman and family deserves accurate and actionable guidance to prevent harmful exposure to toxic chemicals that can be found in the home. Today's topic is pest control, and we're speaking with Dr. Maida Galvez. Maida is a pediatrician whose clinical research and advocacy work is dedicated to promoting healthy environments for all children with a focus on high poverty communities. Hey, Maida, so good to see you today. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Alexandra. So great to be with you.
How's everything going there?
Really well.
Good. Well, again, so happy to have this conversation with you. And let's start by learning a little bit about you, a little bit more about you. I'd love to know what sparked your interest in environmental medicine and pediatrics in particular.
So I went into medicine early. I was one of those students that out of high school had already decided that pediatrics was probably where I wanted to be. And lucky for me, it worked out. And so, what is I've really appreciated is that when I finished my training in residency, I had this opportunity to train in environmental health, which is really rooted in primary care and in ensuring that every child has the best start possible. And that's throughout their lives, including in the womb. And so it's brought me into this amazing environmental health community that is incredibly committed to making sure that we promote healthy environments for all. And so and has brought me into the company of folks like you, Alexandra, wonderful community partners who we work together with to champion healthy environments.
Well, the field is really lucky to have you, Maida, and you're lucky to have known early on that this is your calling. So it's great to know that background. Let's shift into the topic of the day, which is pest control. Uh, what exactly would you say are some of the health risks linked with pest control? And what are some safer choices people can make to eliminate or deal with pests? And let's start first by focusing on those who live in an apartment building like you do, in New York City.
Sure. Yeah. So we're here in New York City in an urban environment where pests are a major concern across the city, and that's documented to be even worse in low-income communities and communities that are predominantly Black and Latino, families who are living in substandard housing where pests are more of a problem. Unfortunately, it introduces another risk, which is that when families are trying to address the pest problem, oftentimes pesticides are used. And pesticides are not only harmful to the pests, they're also harmful to humans. And so when it comes to addressing any pest problem in the home, we advise families to use the least toxic methods possible, and that's known as integrated pest management, or IPM. Some of the safer choices that families can turn to are things like gels and bait motels. And those reduce the exposures to the families living in that home. Versus fogging and bombing, which can be routinely used not only indoors in the home environment, but also in the common spaces. We discourage families from choosing those options and really turning to the safer options. The other thing that's an important part of integrated pest management is addressing food sources for the pests. And so that means any food should be stored in airtight containers. It means routinely cleaning to make sure there are no crumbs in the kitchen areas or any of the garbages, and that the garbage is regularly removed. And that there aren't water sources even for the pests, so making sure there's not withstanding water. So those are some simple steps that are an important part of integrated pest management, in addition to using things like gels and bait motels. And there are resources available for families if you're concerned to talk through some of these issues. And one of the ones that we point families to is the National Pesticide Information Center, or NPIC. It's a toll-free number that anybody can call with quick, and they can get guidance on some of the least toxic methods for use in the home.
That's very helpful. Great tips, Maida. And what about safer choices that people can make if they live in a home, so in a rural or suburban community? Is there anything different that you'd recommend in that environment around pests?
Really good questions. And I think that the pests, certainly some of them may be the same, the very same pests that families in urban environments are dealing with, like roaches and mice. But some of them may be different and may require different methods. And so I think it's important, one, to identify the pest of concern and then talk through with experts before doing anything about it, because you want to prevent any harmful exposures. And these are important conversations to have if you're specifically engaging with a pesticide company too, in terms of really knowing what they're planning to use and how they're planning to use it. And so really being proceeding with caution whenever you take steps to address pests in the home.
Great tips, Maida. And what would be one thing you recommend?
So we always recommend using the least toxic methods, and that's rooted in integrated pest management, or IPM. But if you need to seek out an exterminator, I would say and make sure that you turn to a certified exterminator. The other thing that we tell families is if they're struggling with these issues, that sometimes the primary care provider can actually be helpful in providing a letter that it's the duty of a landlord to provide a safe environment for the families. And so that's something that they can look to from their pediatrician or pediatric professional.
So let's shift gears and close with a fun fact about you. What's something that would surprise people about you?
So my name actually gets mispronounced all the time. And the origins of my name is it's actually my parents' names put together. And so my father's name is Manuel, and my mother's name was Ida. And so that's a quick and easy way to remember how to pronounce my first name.
That's beautiful. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for your time and sharing all your expertise with us today, Maida. We really appreciate it. To learn more about everything you heard today from Maida about pest control and more, follow us on social and visit mysafetynest.com. See you soon.